All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Sunday with a little NBA live before lock, joined by the one and only Ryan Patnick. We have the Rin Pack in the house. It's been a few days. How are you, my friend? Is it all champagne and caviar in the personal champagne room there?
No. Unfortunately, not enough Justin Fields. Not enough Justin Fields in the NFL slate as Justin Fields continues to run bonkers, and the handholders will get there. But it is what it is. But there's NBA money and there's NBA news, so hopefully something can turn around come the evening.
Yeah, I'm in parts unknown, actually known as the Outer Banks, here for a running awards banquet. My wife's running club, they get together once a year. We've gone to a few of these, especially when she's going to be getting awards. But she finished all 50 states with a half marathon in them and has now done 200 career half marathons. So she got a couple awards last night. Her friend Carrie Ann also finished all 50 states and the District of Columbia and finished her 100 career half marathon this season. So, of course, they celebrated by running a half marathon this morning in the cold, wind, and rain. That is beach weather today. But yeah, we're hanging out here. Moral of the story is, though, I couldn't really play NFL DFS in volume on the road, Ryan. So I missed everything. I made one Yahoo lineup and one FanDuel lineup because I have various leagues that then goes into that I'm still playing with for money. And I had the Holmes Kelsey connection on one, and I had the quarterback who broke his own record from last week, Fields again, and then nothing else good. Apparently everything else I picked was chalk, and then Jerry Jeudy shit the bed. So thanks, Jerry Jeudy.
I
That was
had
supposed
Fields,
to be
but
Singletary, but I changed my mind at the last minute. Such is life.
I have a handful of Fields and Komet lineups, but in those Fields and Komet lineups, I have another bear, and no other bear was needed to make that happen. So unfortunately, nothing's going to really break out. I mean, we'll see with these. There's some chalky defenses late into the slate here, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's kind of throwing me off. It's only 5. Normally we do this show around 6, and then prior to that, I was used to doing the NFL live before lock around 7. So the fact that these games haven't even gone to halftime yet is sort of throwing me a little out of kilter. But we've got 6 games in action. We've got a lot of news to break down, so we're going to get to this. I do want to remind everybody that it is very helpful if you do subscribe and hit that like button. We are doing battle against the old YouTube algorithm, so this is something that allows us to be seen by more people, therefore do more free shows, therefore provide more distractions for you and some great DFS information. So that helps us out. We also put most everything out on our various podcast channels as well. You can see those if you go onto the Stokastic homepage. You can see the Stokastic Podcast Network. That will tell you the different places you can find this. But as long as it's not a live before lock, it's basically going out on a podcast feed. There's one that has everything. That one gets a little bit crowded. And then we have them by sport, as well as the college football betting pod, which is a lot of fun to listen to, that Ben Raza and Matt Kajeski put out early each week, usually on Tuesday or Wednesday. Helps you get some good closing or beating closing lines by getting the good information early. All right, Ryan, we've got not surprising news. We had Desmond Bain, John Morant, and Jaren Jackson Jr. all listed as doubtful coming into today. Bain with a toe, ankle issue for Morant, and then foot issue for Jaren Jackson. This is actually an island game for Memphis, so that's important to note because we don't have to theoretically don't have to worry about Steven Adams being a surprise sit, etc. They're going against Washington here. They last played on Friday. They don't play again until Tuesday, so this is kind of a spaced out game. Your lineup should come pre-installed with Tyus Jones. I almost said Tyus Edney. That's a throwback way back. You were familiar with the Coast to Coast UCLA Tyus Edney? Oh, it was probably. I'm afraid to know if you were even alive at that point. A UCLA magic moment in the championship game played in Seattle. I was actually in Seattle at that time. So in any event, Jones is going to be a key play. Dylan Brooks is going to be a key play for us tonight. Steven Adams is going to be a key play for us tonight. A lot to like here with Memphis. Why don't you break it down, since this is where 95% of our questions are going to come from tonight? How many can you play? Do you have any groupings of anybody, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, Memphis is going to be very interesting to look at. And obviously, no Morant, no Desmond Bain. There you go. Those are the two head honchos there, and they're gone. And with those guys gone, Dylan Brooks, you got to love Dylan Brooks, and he looks great to go to. You're going to project him to be the highest usage player on this team. And then I think you can definitely go to Tyus Jones. Those two would be my two favorite guys. I have no issues playing more than those two guys, but those two guys make a ton of sense to go to. I think also I prefer guys like Aldama and Conchar to Steven Adams. I think they can play a bit more minutes. Adams' minutes might get trimmed a little bit to a guy like Brandon Clark potentially. And then the rest of the rotation, they have guys like David Roddy and Jake LaRavia. They're flyers. They're not priority plays by whatsoever. But you can roster 4, and if you want to play 5 on DK, that seems like a little too much. But I have no issues going up to 4. On a slate like this, they're shorthanded. They're missing 2 of their big guys, so it makes a ton of sense just to load up on this Memphis Grizzlies team.
So when I was looking at this, the only semi-grouping I was considering is I wasn't thrilled to end up with I can't get to my article, which of course has the free picks, which is where I took all the notes. Adams and I'm blanking on the name of the backup center there. Those were the 2 guys I didn't want to get to. So let me get to my notes here. Sorry.
Clark?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you talking about Brandon Clark or Aldama?
Aldama. So I said, here are my thoughts. Steven Adams likely will see his standard minutes, but he should be in the mix for a double-double tonight. Santi Aldama will slide into the backup minutes at both center and power forward behind Brandon Clark at the power forward part. I said this trio is solidly in play, each with having a chance to flirt for the 30 fantasy points plateau. It makes sense to have only 1 or 2 of this groups, since I think we really, really want 2, if not all 3, of Tyus Jones, Conchar, and Dylan Brooks. So if I'm choosing odd men out, I want it to be in the front court. It's probably going to be Santi Aldama for me.
Yeah, I like being under the field on Adams if he's going to be significantly owned. I think that that ownership projection is going to evolve throughout the hour leading up to lock. So Adams is fine, but I'm never a big Adams guy to go to. He can certainly put up a massive number and burn me, but I got to take some chances against the field, and I think Adams is the one guy in Memphis who I'm not that interested in going to.
So did you know that he has 9 or more rebounds in all but 1 game this season? That is Steven Adams, and he is averaging 10.5. So earlier today, I'm going to go over to our sister site, Odd Shopper, to see where he is on rebounds. So right now he's at 10.5. Is his line. Now we have seen the juice go a little lighter than I was expecting here. You can get in on this on a couple different sites here at 10.5 at positive or slightly negative juice, it looks like. So we're projecting him for 10.5 rebounds, or he's at 10.5 rebounds. We're going for 11.8. Again, I think this is a reasonable bet. This is a nice one to work into a same game parlay as well, if you're able to do that, particularly with so many Memphis people taking on additional roles. You can start to look at some of those players for additional rebounding and scoring opportunities where they normally may not get them. So that's something that I think is helpful. I wouldn't go completely overboard with a whole bunch of legs on these, probably about 4 or 5, but I think this is one where you can kind of build out a nice same game parlay. If for those of you that have not yet joined our friends over at BetMGM, I do want to point out that for a limited time only, they are giving you a chance to get 2 free months of Stokastic Premium. How do you do that, you say? Because that sounds like a pretty good deal. Well, all you got to do is already have your Stokastic account. You just need an account. Doesn't have to be an active subscription. And then when you log into that, you click on the big button for BetMGM when it pops up. And then you go through that, create your BetMGM account. Once you put money in your account, make at least a $10 bet. When that bet settles, they will send us notification and new information on how to get 2 free months of Stokastic Premium content. But wait, there's more. You can also, with your first bet, get up to a risk-free $1,000 bet. If you click on the link in the description below us here in the YouTube description, that will take you to the landing page that has all of the particulars. But that is a great way to get 2 free months of Stokastic. That's a win-win situation right in and of itself. Anything else from Memphis here? And you got to admit, that looks like a decent bet there to get him over 10 boards.
Yeah, that looks pretty solid. I mean, all trends and indication data indicates that should happen. So no, she's taking
What
some
about gut
chance.
feeling, Ryan? Gut feeling.
My gut feeling with Steven Adams is never the gut feeling you ever want. I'm always hesitant to go there. It's nothing against him. It's just I just feel like that upside. When there's other centers on this slate, the opportunity cost seems a little too high for DFS. But gut feeling, man, like they're resting these young guys in Morant and Bain and rolling out the veteran Adams. Seems like could be some in-game load management there. So that's I'm just trying to maybe overthink the situation here, but that could it's a non-zero chance that could happen. So that's how I feel about Adams.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to look at it, then made sure that this was an island game, etc. His per 36 numbers look pretty well. He's playing around in his 88 games between this year and last year that he played with Memphis. He's averaging just shy of 27 minutes per game. In that same stretch, he has just over 15 rebounds per 36, which kind of get backing into that, gets him real close to that 11 and a half that he's averaging this season. So will it be nip and tuck? Probably, but he should get there. He should get there. What do you got for us on the Washington side here? Bradley Beal apparently sick, which is unfortunate. So you've had a few other key members miss some time here for the Wizards throughout the season. Porzingis looks okay. Kuzma looks okay. They've each missed a game since Beal has gone out. Everybody else, it's kind of a hot hand situation. The other 8 guys have had solid games and craptastic games. God, I hate the Wizards.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have some interest on one or two of those studs there in Kuzma and Porzingis. Kuzma comes in at 7,500, Porzingis at 8K. I prefer the 8K Porzingis price tag instead of Kuzma, but granted, they both have the upside. They're just gonna be the 1A and 1B options on offense, and that's the best way of getting fantasy points. 82 and 7,800 on DraftKings, respectively. You got to love the shot volume these guys are going to get. At least low 30s minutes seems like the nice projection that we have on the site. And maybe it's a little bit more, but they're on a back end of a back-to-back if you're cautious for any reason. Porzingis did miss a game last week. Kuzma looks fine, but the rest of the guys are just, like you said, they're not that exciting to go to. Can one of Abdia, Hachimura, Monty Morris, Will Barton can be good to / must have? Possibly, but even then, I think I would just take my chances on Abdia with the minutes, probably the greatest out of them. Monty Morris been disappointing. He just seems like a good NBA point guard, not a good NBA fantasy point guard for us. So it's a position where when there's Tyus Jones on the other side, who we can count on getting potentially more minutes, more usage, and has proven that in the past can just pay off that price tag when he starts. I just would rather take my chances with Tyus Jones. It makes a lot more sense. And I'm just more confident in Tyus Jones. No real reason for me to go to Monty Morris. And like you said, the rest of the guys are just a bunch of crap in terms of DFS perspective. No real interest kind of on both sides. We have really good value that we touched on in Memphis. No real reason to move off of these guys in any significant fashion.
All right. I see someone, I just lost it, but they were asking in chat, what happens to Adams' usage without Bain and Morant? So that's Chris Alberts there. So Adams doesn't have a lot of usage anyway. Remember, most of his fantasy production comes from rebounds and blocks, and then making his shots. Taking a bunch of shots, that's the wild card with Steven Adams there. So his usage since he's been with Memphis with those guys on the court is about 13%. When both those guys are off the court, it's about 7%. So technically that would be below average usage. Remember, usage takes into account where does the possession end is the easiest way to say it. And a lot of them do not end with Adams because he's not taking the shots. So I wouldn't worry about that as much. He does see an uptick in his fantasy production. That's mostly because the shooters on the court that aren't those two guys are worse than those two guys, so there are more rebounds. His efficiency does take a little bit of a hit because he's not getting as many good passes from those guys around the bucket. So it all kind of neutralizes out. But him getting the rebounds is the key to success here for that. Did you want to add anything there on Adam?
No, I think that's really about it.
I've terrified you enough. You've bared your soul for everybody about your deep, dark fear of gigantic kiwis. Is that the story? The moral of the story here?
Pretty much.
All righty. Let's see here. let's see. We've got a whole lot of with Washington, as we mentioned. Let's go into our next game here, since we do got 45 minutes, and we got several juicy games that, of course, we will want to discuss. This one is we'll take a little bit to break down. So you've got Minnesota at Cleveland. This was shaping up to be Donovan Mitchell battling Rudy Gobert. Donovan Mitchell actually out with a sore ankle. You have Jarrett Allen also out. And then, not that it matters, but Dean Wade's still out. That just thins out the minutes. This makes Darius Garland, in my opinion, an outstanding play. This is where Kevin Love said, hey, bud, don't worry. I got the revenge for you on this one, since I used to be the original Minnesota Timberwolf here. He's an adequate play, regardless of him actually having played in Minnesota before. And then, of course, you've got Mobley, who's also an interesting option here. What do you like from the Cavs, even though they are the home team? I jumped the gun on that, but
yeah, we get an opportunity to see Donovan Mitchell. There was a period, about a 10-day period, where Darius Garland was out with an eye injury. And it was the Donovan Mitchell show, and now there's also no Jarrett Allen. I got to have the most interest in guys like Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and Karis LeVert, and not in that order. I think for me, I just would go with Garland, Mobley, LeVert in that order. Kind of interchangeable. I have equal interest in all of them across the board. Kevin Love doesn't look awful. We know he can produce even in like mid-20s minutes, but I prefer the other three guys in LeVert, Garland, and Mobley, kind of on both sides where they're priced right now. It's easy to get these guys in with the value we have with Memphis. These are guys that are also considered strong value plays because of how well they project with no Donovan Mitchell. So I'm all about this Cleveland team taking on the Minnesota team. So I like it. I think Garland has the upside to pay that off. We can expect him to play at least mid to high 30s minutes as we can with Mobley. And LeVert should get a lot of those Mitchell minutes, so he should also be up there. Kevin Love, I'd be shocked if he plays more than 30 minutes just because of his role on this team. But even if he's going to get mid-20s minutes, he has that upside to help you pay off some things. So it's really about these four guys. Could you convince me to take some flyers on Osman and starting Lamar Stevens? I don't think it's necessary. I think if you really want to jam in another stud later in the night, because there is guys like Jokic and Embiid to go to, sure, but it's not necessary. I don't think so.
Anyone else from the Cavs? It's a pretty clear-cut path here. I don't think we have to go dumpster diving too far down, because there are some other values out there. But just those high notes, that's all you got for us there.
Yeah. I don't think it's really any reason to go to Raul Neto or anything. I mean, like
Raulzino Neto?
No chance. No interest.
He wasn't even supposed to be here today. All right. No. Moving to our other side, only one really out of commission here is Naz Reid for the Timberwolves. When they are healthy, they are a crowded squad here. Loaded at the front court. You've got Anthony Edwards, probably the best offensive option, or 1A, 1B with Towns, but at some point he's going to move ahead of him. You've got D'Angelo Russell getting shots, or at least giving himself shots, like he is the number one option here. What do you want to do with the crowded T-Wolves squad?
Tough T-Wolves squad to go to, honestly, just because we're losing a couple guard positions in Brooks and Jones, and then all these guys are kind of like mudding each other up. There's Karl-Anthony Towns, who probably might be my favorite option to go to just because of the upside it has. And then Anthony Edwards. Don't really have much interest in D'Angelo Russell or Gobert, just because I'm going to Gobert at the center spot on FanDuel. I'd rather just find the extra 1,000, which I'll get potentially with the value to either go up to Jokic or Embiid. So Gobert's kind of priced out for me. Cat looks awesome, but these guys are just like very like, Karl-Anthony Towns is a stud for sure, but everyone else, it's tough to get there. I mean, it's just Cat and Edwards for me. The rest of the guys, it's kind of being a little too risky when we have such strong, confident value in the Memphis side of things. There are long shot tournament plays and guys like Slow-Mo at that price. Even at that price tag, it's tough. It's just Cat and Anthony Edwards. I don't feel that strongly about this team. I know it's a Cleveland team with no Jarrett Allen. It's a nice, strong interior and defensive post, but tough for me to even have interest in Gobert on the other side.
Yeah, and again, this all comes down to being a function of pricing, and that's something we'll hear, ad nauseum throughout the season. But that is how DFS works. And then with NBA, it comes down to minutes after that. So on a point per minute basis, or point per dollar, a minute per dollar basis, that's a little tough for some of these guys when everybody is healthy. So that just makes things a little tricky. Does it mean that these guys aren't going to hit their ceiling? No. In fact, it technically, I guess, doesn't even really lower their ceiling. Just the likelihood of them getting there becomes a little bit longer. Here's a trivia question for you. 38.2 minutes leads the league. Yes or no? You think it's higher or lower? 38.2 minutes per game.
Who? Just like whoever.
Just the most player, and its name's not Fred VanVleet.
38 minutes per game.
Yeah. Do you think the league leader is higher or lower than 38 minutes?
I'll take the lower side.
39.1. Did you know it was Donovan Mitchell at 39.1? That is wild.
That's crazy. Just this early in the season. Wow.
Yeah. So the void that he is leaving behind is actually kind of massive. I just wanted to circle back on that quickly. This is for Mitchell, who again is out tonight. He is taking 21.8 field goal attempts, making 51.3%. Those are career highs. 31.6 points. That's fifth in the league. 4.7 rebounds, 6.1 assists, and 2 combined blocks and steals, averaging nearly 50 fantasy points per game. So that's one hell of a void left behind there. So, and then you turn around and have Jared Allen gone as well. So we have an opportunity for Kevin Love to be wildly efficient, which would be very nice. The extra minutes, and maybe we get there, maybe we don't. Probably 28's around that he's going to play would be my guess. A gust up to 31, maybe. But there's a lot of trickle down effect here for in particular Mobley and Garland. So just reiterating that. All right, so you ready for game number 3 of our 6-game slate?
Let's go. We
have the Utah Jazz at Philadelphia. The 76ers favored by 3.5 points, 218.5 projected point total here. Furkan Korkmaz still out. Joel Embiid is going to play. DeAnthony Melton missed the last game, actually yesterday. This was a back-to-back. Melton is off the injury report. He was dealing with a sore back. Of course, James Harden is still out. We saw last night the 76ers cruise by, getting a little revenge on Atlanta, 121-109, after Atlanta had their number last Thursday, 104-95. You did get, Embiid playing 40 minutes last night, Ryan, with 42 points, 10 boards, 6 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 25 field goal attempts. He was 82% from the free throw line. That is just awesome. 41% usage rate. It's absolutely wild. He was plus 22. Hell of a night. 40 minutes feels like a lot. What do you think we see tonight from everybody's favorite Cameroonian, Joel Embiid?
I don't expect 40 minutes, but I certainly can expect at least mid-30s, and you're going to still have a lot of interest in Embiid. I don't know. I wouldn't count on another 70-point fantasy explosion, but you got to love his projection. We have him just north of 50 points, actually in the mid-50s. And you're getting some savings off of Jokic, which we have him projected just pretty much outright ahead of Jokic. So I like Embiid a lot. There's enough value to just get him in there. It sounds like a reoccurring statement. You can just jam in the Memphis value and rotate your studs. And that's just going to be what people are going to do on the slate. So I'm all about the Embiid train. He's kind of my favorite Sixer to go to by a long margin. It seems difficult to target anyone else in confidence, but Joel Embiid looks awesome.
Do you have that branching out to anybody else for the 76ers? It's still a big gap to fill without Harden. You want to consider Melton, perhaps Tyrese Maxey in this one, maybe a little Tobias Harris. Anybody else intrigue you?
On this, I think you can definitely take your chances on Maxey because I think he's the guy who gets the second most usage in this situation. So Maxey looks like a fine option to go to. And then I follow by Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is kind of priced out for us. But I would, in order of preference, I like Embiid, Maxey, Melton, and Harris in that order. I think that makes a lot of sense to go to. So I think that's how I would position myself and also exposure. But that's really about it. The rest of the Sixers are way too cute to go to on this slate, in my opinion.
All right. See, we have a super chat here from Michael McKinney. We'll catch that one here in between our next games. What say you for the Utah Jazz here? Fun story. Did not expect to see them near the top of the standings. Do you think they managed to hold on to a non-play-in tournament spot here, or are they slowly going to slide down?
I mean, they just keep winning. At this rate, it's been wild to see this team. I didn't expect this team to be this good, honestly, and I don't think their team themselves believe that they'll be this good. So they've been playing
number one record in the West, 10-4. They're behind the Bucks, who are 10-2, the Celtics, who are 10-3. If you had told me, hey, the Jazz might get 10 wins, they'll get 12 wins by Thanksgiving, I'd say it feels about right for a team in a complete teardown mode. Did not expect to see that in their first 14 games, though.
Yeah, no, it's been wild. I did not expect this either, and we'll take it, I guess. I mean, like in terms of fantasy perspective, it's been Larry Markkanen's team, and he might be an all-star for the West, and the Utah Jazz host the all-star game this year. And maybe their first-time head coach is going to be the coach for the Jazz in the all-star game. No one would have expected that. I mean, this Jazz team was not expected to win more than 25 games for the season total, but I do think they'll face some sort of – I think teams will start to figure them out a little bit. Talent on paper, they're just a bunch of solid NBA role players. And the way it seems like they're just thriving in their role. So very unselfish basketball. Maybe that's what is leading them to all these wins. But I don't think they're for real. No way.
Yeah, it really just takes a 5-game losing streak, and they're going to slide rapidly down the ranks. But it's fun while it lasts. It's definitely fun while it lasts. And I do think they have a decent chance to make a plan, assuming health for them. As far as DFS love for them tonight, gets to be a little tricky. They're all kind of out kicking their coverage. They have all done this long enough that their salaries have kind of caught up with the production and increased field goal opportunities, et cetera, considering you've turned over almost the entire I guess other than Mike Conley, you've turned over the entire starting 5 here with new players. Anybody you want to highlight from the Jazz?
I think you can definitely mix in Larry Markkanen. I know he doesn't grade out as the greatest point per dollar value play, but the upside of Markkanen this season, something we got to look at. I know he's going to be going up against Embiid on the other side of things, but it's not a straight up matchup. I just think Markkanen's usage has been so awesome, and we should be looking forward to taking advantage of that. It's just Markkanen, and I think taking some shots on Clarkson make a lot of sense. A lot of ownership is going to go to guys like Garland and Tyus Jones, and Clarkson. He's one of those microwave guys who can just get hot in the heater, and we want to be on the right side of that heater whenever that happens in a game. It's not going to take much to get with the field, so I like taking some chances with Clarkson for sure. But that's really about it. Vanderbilt has stocks upside and double upside, but the minutes have been kind of fluky of late. It's Markkanen in his own tier, and then Clarkson, and then everyone else. I no real confidence in any of this Jazz team outside of those first 2 guys I mentioned.
All righty, let's hit on. I see we have 2 super chats. We'll hit on those real quick. We're putting the FanDuel hat on, or at least you are going to for this one, Brian. So 5 must plays for FanDuel cash tonight. So I think the obvious are going to be Tyus Jones, Dillon Brooks, John Konchar, and probably Kevin Love. Can you add a handful more to that? So Jones is 4,500. He's in. Kevin Love's 4,800. He's in. Dillon Brooks, shooting guard, small forward. He's in because he qualifies for 4 spots. Konchar also qualifies for 4 spots. He's 4,100. He's going to be in. Then it starts to become interesting. I would consider Evan Mobley because you can get him at power forward. I think Joel Embiid is an easy luxury to get at that point. And then don't we have like a good? Oh yeah, his name is Kevin Durant. Is lurking there as well. So you start to get to the luxury options. Who would you like of the luxury options? Knowing, I think in 5
at
least 1, maybe 2, because the other 4 are going to be pre-populated. that's an easy one for Michael. Let's give him a little value for a super chat.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Joel Embiid. I think I'll take my luxury option with Embiid. Anthony Davis looks nice as well, but I think Embiid might be a better option than Davis. I think that's how it's ironing out. Yeah, it's going to be Joel Embiid. We laid out a very, very strong cash team there, so it makes a lot of sense to go Jones, Brooks, Conchar, Embiid, and Love to start with, and then filling out the rest makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and if things work out right, you might be able to wiggle in there, perhaps Steph Curry. Maybe you could get in Sabonis, perhaps Karl Anthony Towns. It sort of depends how many other positions you're wanting to punt. We've got another one here from Super Chinchuriki. Edmund Sumner versus Yuta Watanabe. Watanabe not playing tonight. I think he's out for a couple more days. So that would be Edmund Sumner. If you have a different question, feel free to ask that. You don't have to put in a super chat. If we're looking for long-term prospects, I still got to go with Edmund Sumner on that one over Yuta Watanabe. All righty. Oh, you know what time it is, Rebecca? It's time to sell something. Guess what? We have the sponsor tonight. You know how fun it is to have sponsors on your show? It's the old No House Advantage. So No House Advantage, a lot of fun. They have a dynamic fantasy sports platform, 2 different contest types. They have the Pick'em contest. That's where you play against other people. Depending on the contest of the day, you can have a shot up to winning up to $25,000 in cash. And overlay is the operative word of the day and night because they are using that as their marketing tool. So you can download the app. It's available in any app store. You can choose a contest. You select your player props. You roll up the leaderboard when you get the correct picks, and those points, confidence points, if you will, those points are how you compete against other gamers. So for example, on the NFL game this morning, you had 10 questions out there that we had to fill. You would choose from about 200 options of player props. You decide to go higher or lower, and then you would rank them 10 through 1. If you were correct on those, you get the points for those. They have single game contests for the NFL. They're going to bring you the NFL Live Before Lock show that starts at 7:15. So in about an hour and change there. So you can get some input for that. We'll talk about them a little later. But the key things you want to remember: one, when you go through our deposit or go through our link below us, they'll give you a deposit match up to $50. That comes out of your money first. That is in the YouTube description below us here. So that is definitely important to help stretch your dollars. And then we also have free projections on the site for the various sports that they have. So those are available for you as well. And then separately, their second contest version. So those are static props. I didn't need to mention that. So similar to other sites having salaries, they put out those player props there. We're picking the same card, right? It's like in Vegas when you get the big Super Bowl props card, 10 days before the big game, if you will. Those are the props. They don't change. That's what you're wagering off of. That's what it used to be in the old days before I had the giant tote boards. But in any event, these are static. Much like salaries don't change. Once news breaks, these don't change. The other side of the house, the versus the house, in these contests, you get real live lines and you create parlay cards, 2, 3, 4, or 5 questions out of player props. You need to get everything right that you put onto the card, but the 2v2 gets you 3x, 5v5, all 5 correct, gets you 20x, highest payout in the business. So you'll definitely want to keep your eye on that one. All right, Ryan, running down our final, the back half, if you will. Denver Nuggets in Chicago taking on the Bulls. If I remember correctly, did the Bulls play last night? Where are my notes? They did not play last night because all the days are running together when you're not at home. Always fun there. But they played 2 nights ago, it looks like. Okay, so they're hosting Denver. You've got the Nuggets coming in favored by barely a buck, hit 1.5 points, 232 implied point total. Wow, that's a big number there. You've got most everybody is healthy, double checking. Bones Highland dinged up, not really a huge issue. Ish dinged up, not really an issue. And then Kobe White, still out. We know what's happening when he is not there. Everybody is around, which does make for a crowded, in a good way, Denver lineup, especially a good way for Nikola Jokic if you're playing If you're a DFS player, not quite as fun because it makes it a little harder for him to get over 50 fantasy points. But you've got Jamal Murray looking like a reasonable point per dollar value, particularly over there on Yahoo. And then you have Michael Porter Jr. He's pretty good from a 3-point range here. What do you like here from the Nuggets?
Yeah, the Nuggets team is going to be interesting, and I do think there could be some tournament darlings on this slate not including Jokic. I think taking some chances on Murray and Porter Jr. make a lot of sense. Bruce Brown is going to get some ownership as well. I think he's fine to take some chances on. I like Michael Porter's price tag 5,900 on FanDuel quite a bit, as I do like Jamal Murray. And those two guys stick out to me quite a bit. I think I'd prefer going to one of those two guys than Jokic, just because Embiid's on the slate over there on FanDuel. But it makes a lot of sense that one of their big three could be really good in this matchup. I do think Murray's minutes are going to slowly uptick a bit more, and I'm just going to want to ride the wave. We've already seen him play a season high 35 last game, 17 shot attempts. You got to love that. And then slowly, we're going to see that a bit more consistently. I would like him to shoot better. 6 to 17 is great. The shot volume is there. And now he had a double-double, I believe, last game. Yeah, he did. So I think Jamal Murray makes a lot of sense at those respective price tags for sure.
All right. Yeah, not that we want anybody out, but it makes it a little easier when someone is out from this game.
And I do think over time their prices will adjust. We might see a sub 10K Jokic at some point, just because there will be a stretch where he doesn't crack 45 fantasy points and the pricing algorithms will adjust, and then Jokic will become a solid play again. So it's just kind of the name of the game here.
Sort of perhaps like his counterpart, Vucevic. Got a little high, starting to come back down a little bit. Always an intriguing option. Can pop off for a 30 and 10 any given night. That brings us to the Bulls. Everybody but Ball and Kobe White are available. How are you? Are you rooting for the Lovables tonight? That would be their cheerleaders. You're in the Chicago area. You know that, right? They still have a cheerleading team, right? Lovables.
I've yet to go to a Bulls game since I remember my time here. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Impossible. Oh boy.
I've been to various events at the United Center, but not a Bulls game.
Interesting.
I actually went to
never guessed that.
I went to high school All-American game where Michael Porter Jr. was high school MVP. So I saw a lot of good players before we played them in DFS. So I think Jaren Jackson Jr. was there, Colin Sexton was there, I think Trae Young was there. So there were a lot of good players. Jared Vanderbilt was there. So I got to see a lot of these guys who we play before they even knew what DraftKings and FanDuel, they would have price tags to their names over there.
Gotcha. The demon that says impossible ? Yes, it is beyond impossible. So far beyond it becomes unpossible. All right, take us through the real life Bulls here.
Yeah, the Bulls here, when everyone's healthy, it's like playing roulette. It's just, sometimes DeRozan's going to have the game. Sometimes it's going to be Levine. I like Levine where you save the money off of DeRozan just because Levine has the ball a little bit more in his hands, it feels like at times. Granted, DeRozan can get more shot volume. I like Levine quite a bit. He's probably my favorite Bull to go to. Vooch is just like priced out for me because of Embiid's on the slate, Jokic is on the slate. And he's going to be a great tournament option to go to. And that's really about it. Can he have a good game against Jokic? Sure. But I don't think it's really difficult for him to pay off a price tag in confidence when Levine and DeRozan are healthy and he's priced north of 8K. I feel like great to go to when he's going to be 7K, 7,500, 8,200. Seems like I would rather take my chances on Porzingis at that price tag, or even saving and going down to Mobley. So that's kind of how I feel about Vooch today. But Levine looks good. I like Levine a lot. I think he's might be a little bit low owned, but he has the upside to make things happen. So sign me up for Zach Levine today.
All righty. Dropping a little note there in our projections, because we circling back with news. So hopefully we'll get this updated. But Yuta Watanabe off the injury report. I say question mark. Rather surprising for everybody else. This is courtesy of Roto World. It says he was initially believed that Watanabe would miss the first 2 games of Brooklyn's West Coast trip, but he must be a fast healer. The versatile wing would be part of the second unit, but doesn't offer enough production to be worth rostering in most leagues. Leave Watanabe on the waiver wire. Okay, they're talking season-long stuff, but when we are looking at though he and Sumner do not play the same position, the trickle-down effect to the second unit would potentially impact them. So I just dropped that in for our projections channel. So we'll see if we get that updated. And then another super chat here, cash game lineup here from Cash Reed. I like that. Or C Shred. A lot of ways we can read this name. He's asking Anthony Davis and Tyrese Maxey or Kevin Durant and Jamal Murray. No site given. I'm guessing PK though.
Could you say that again? Sorry.
Anthony Davis and Maxey versus Durant and Murray.
Wow, it's very close. Give me the upside of Davis and Maxey, just because Davis is there's potentially going to be no LeBron James. Davis is a monster when that happens. This Brooklyn defense is kind of turning things around under Coach Jacques Vaughn, which is really interesting to see. Yeah,
their defensive efficiency has gone from horrible
to the best,
to pretty average, which is a huge jump in 7 games.
Yeah, they haven't allowed anyone to get over like 100 points in some time, right?
I will have to look that one up.
But it's something remarkable. It's like turned all the way upside down since Kyrie Irving has been away from the team.
That's a very nice way to say it there. I would have said since he was an idiot yet again. I look forward to seeing what gets him suspended for the next go round. Looking at the numbers, let's see. Reverse chronological order, meaning this was from last night. Points allowed by Brooklyn: 95, 85, 96, 94, 86, 108, 109. You can tell that's basically the last 5 games. But to get down to 85, even though that was against the Knicks, that's and against the Clippers 95. Those are some low numbers.
Oh yeah, those are very low numbers. But I mean, good for their coach and good for the team for turning things around. It's been quite the eventful, I want to say 2022 for them, pretty much from January 1st onwards. It has been wild to see what's been going down with the Nets franchise. So,
yes. Oh, Chad asked me, why is Kyrie an idiot? What did Kyrie do wrong? Kyrie accepts no responsibility whatsoever for anything that comes out of his mouth. That's my main problem. If you want to have opinions, that's fine. But don't take dipshit opinions and then say, what? You don't believe me? I was just joking. Or no, this is what I believe, when it's something that's categorically incorrect. Take a little personal responsibility. That being an idiot. You want to have stupid opinions, that's fine. Own them then. Own them. All right. Oh, go ahead. You can chime in on that if you'd like.
No, I think you nailed it right on the head. I don't have much to add. It's always a interesting situation with Kyrie Irving. I mean, sometimes that guy, I don't even know what goes through his head. It has been wild to see since he left Cleveland, and they must have kept him like under wraps if he was like this the whole time, because all of this stuff has been like since he left Cleveland. It's just like maybe he was always like this, but he's quite out there at times.
I love this. Woke EMac. No, this is called personal responsibility. Be responsible for your own fun. If you're going to be amazing, own it. If you're going to be a dipshit, own it. Okay? You are who you are. You don't, that's unequivocal. That's where you are. It's the lying that gets me. You want to have different sides, different parties. We're not going to get into that. Just don't lie. Don't lie. Big problem with that. If we were up here lying and giving bullshit information, you guys would throw a fit, and then you would go to, rightfully so, another channel or another data source. That's what they are doing. You can't support that. That's incorrect. It's completely incorrect. All righty. Golden State at Sacramento. Steph Curry is putting together a chef's kiss of a season. Rinpack. Oh, did we skip something?
No.
Or you ready? You're ready to go with the chef's kiss here?
Oh yeah. I'm all aboard Steph Curry yet again. This guy's been outstanding this season, and
fantasy points that we have not seen since the 2015 season. somewhere thereabouts, which would have been around his MVP season. He is crazy good. The field goal or the rebounds, that's going to slide back a little bit. We're already seeing it now. He's not going to maintain 7. It's going to be closer to just over 5, which is what it's been for his last 3 or 4 years. The assists, he's going to hold on to those. Those are going to stay around 6 or 7 most games. The 3 points, unimpeachable, absolutely amazing. And he is scoring at a near career high pace, which is also amazing. The way the game is played, the way is he has helped to redefine it. This is something else to see. This is a nice matchup that will enable his skill set to come to the forefront here. I think he's on our short list tonight of key positions. The only challenge is we got a couple good guard values. What do you got for us with Curry, and then branch out to the rest of the roster?
Yeah, Curry lit up the same team, I think, 2 games ago, and he dropped a nice 47 piece. So I'm not too concerned. Yes, I don't expect him to go 7 of 12 and 17 of 24, but hell, I'll take 24 shot attempts from Steph Curry any given night. So give me Steph Curry at that price tag. Yeah, I'm willing to pay up just because we have the value and he's really nice roster and you got to pay up for nice things. Steph Curry is definitely worth that price tag across the board, where you even get that 3-point bonus. I'll be above the field on him. He might come a little bit under-owned amongst the studs because sticker shock maybe of Curry, because like he's in the same range. He's in Embiid, Durant, Davis, Jokic, and Curry. Those guys are kind of like your super studs on the slate. So as we're nearing lock, we'll see what those guys' final ownership comes in at. But those guys look pretty darn awesome to go to just match up with their Memphis value, and Cleveland value. So Steph looks awesome. Clay had a disappointing game. He's been tough to go in confidence, but in tournaments, I like going to Clay. He makes a lot of sense. Wiggins is priced up. Tough for me to go to Wiggins in this situation. He is kind of the same price tag as Levine, so I prefer Levine to Wiggins. But Wiggins has shown the ability to rebound at a higher rate this season. He's had some double-digit rebound games. He said he's going to actively try to rebound more, so he's okay to roster, but not the greatest play in my opinion. I think coming in under the field will be just fine, just to get exposure to him. Draymond Green, same position as Mobley and Love. Tough to go to him in any situation in confidence, even in limited lineups. Looney, I'm never on Kevon Looney. It's just it's probably burned me more times than not so far, but I just think the upside is just not what I want from out of him. Looney's been better, but nothing spectacular. Tournament flyer and Jordan Poole can certainly be the case, but he's priced a little too expensive. The minutes are not the greatest. He's fun to roster when one of Clay or Steph is out, or if he's in the starting lineup for some reason, if another starter is out. So kind of my quick 2 cents over there on the Warriors. I wonder if you think of anything differently, especially the front court.
So the Warriors, it always becomes a challenge, right? In Steve Kerr, especially when he gets down to the second unit, he'll mix and match, right? And even he'll say, I don't know who's going to play for sure, right? So then you're kind of left with the main rotation guys. Now you've got an older Draymond, means he may get more in-game rest than expected. You have Poole, who, while a solid player, and doesn't have to deal with Damian Lee sniping minutes anymore, everybody's healthy, right? So it makes it a little harder for him to get his shot. So tough like that. You've got the addition of Dante DiVincenzo. To me, it really comes down to like their main 6 guys, and then anything else after that is just a major question mark. The one nice thing about Kevon Looney is he has been getting power forward eligibility. He does have it on FanDuel tonight. That makes it a little more interesting to get him into the mix. I've been trying to figure out when. This is the forever question. When is it going to be good Andrew Wiggins, and when is it going to be disappearing Andrew Wiggins? We got to see him have a tremendous stretch there in the postseason last year. And, now things are a little different. Minutes are a little spread out because we don't have to run anybody into the ground here. It becomes tricky. So for me, on any given day, it's always going to be Curry. The secondary place for me would be Poole and Wiggins. Looney would be there when he has power forward eligibility. If he's center only, there's just too many other options that are in there. And then Kuminga, the only time I can really get excited about him is when we think he could get unfettered fourth quarter run in some sort of mop-up duty, and then he could have a 15 fantasy point quarter quite not easily, but we've seen him do it several times. That's how I kind of feel the day to day about the Warriors. 3 teams left, 9 minutes to go. We got this, Brian. The Kings here. You've got Sabonis, can't keep his hands to himself. A little bit of foul trouble here and there. You've got De'Aaron Fox. The keys are his because, of course, Tyrese Halliburton is not there. Do we think who was the lockdown defender they used to have? The guy you used to call off night?
Oh, Davion Mitchell?
Is he? Oh, he's still with them, right? Yeah,
he's still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's not going to be shut down. It's just not
no. You can call him off night to certain people, but not
to Curry. Not to Curry. Interesting options. Malik Monk having some moments, not quite trustworthy, but I think we're seeing after we saw him with the Lakers and what he's developed into now, he kind of is redundant, or he is sharing similar skill sets with Herter, Barnes, and Keegan Murray, which makes it tough for any one of them to get minutes. So really, this is kind of a two-man show with Sabonis and Fox. I think on the late slate, Herter's the next guy I would like to get to, and then probably Barnes, just as the veteran, and then Monk, because you got to give him the nod over Murray as the youngster here. But this is kind of a two-man show as well. What do you have for us on the Kings?
Yeah, the Kings side of things, it's a fun game environment to go to. I like going to De'Aaron Fox, but he just is going to be in a price range where I want to go down to Jones or Garland, and I want to maybe go up to Curry. So it's going to be very low owned. And that's a great reason to play De'Aaron Fox. He's been pretty awesome this season, but he's kind of just priced out of being relevant on this slate because of how great everyone else is in terms of their value projection and his projection. So Fox makes things difficult in terms of just because of his salary. It's kind of being salaried out for me. Sabonis is another great option to go to, but man, Domantas Sabonis in Indiana was a 10K player. He's been consistently getting you 40 fantasy points at that price tag. He played them a couple of days ago. He only took 15 shot attempts, went 6 of 15, had 14 rebounds. So Sabonis is fine to go to. I think he's has the sneaky upside. He's one of those sneaky upside players who can be the high scoring player on the slate. So I like Sabonis, and he's not going to get that much ownership. So I like taking some chances on Sabonis. And I don't even think you need to be with the field maybe, because a lot of people will have similar builds with him just with the Memphis value, I think. Additionally, I think taking some chances on one of the shooting guards and Kevin Herter or Malik Monk are fine to do so. Monk was disappointing last time out. I think if he's going to be on the floor for 25, 26 minutes, there's a pathway of him shooting double-digit times, but they're just better Memphis value. Harrison Barnes, he's dust. Kevin Herter. Herter is interesting. I never have gotten this guy right, and it's very, very shooting dependent. He's priced all the way up now. I want to stay away. I think.
You think this newfound efficiency on the West Coast potentially could disappear at any moment, Ryan?
Yeah. I definitely think it can. I just don't know. It's tough to go to him at that price tag. You need him to get really, really hot, and I don't know if he has that within him.
And that for me is kind of where he's that next guy, just because you can get him in at multiple positions. And I still think his upside's a little bit better than Harrison Barnes, but Barnes is less likely to disappear. But again, you've got those 4 redundant skill set guys that just kind of make it hard for any one of them to succeed without doing it by making majority of their shots. All right, we got one game to go here as we race down to the wire. It is the Brooklyn Nets at the Los Angeles Lakers. It is we did not get a new projection run here for Yuta Watanabe, so I can still stick with the answer of I think Edmund Sumner is a better play. I don't really want to play any of them deep on the bench here. It makes it really tricky if they're all going to be in there, especially if Seth Curry is available. He's an ankle game time decision with an ankle. Kevin Durant looks really, really good. We've seen Ben Simmons coming off the bench each of the last 3 games. He has played more than 18 minutes in one of them. I think he played 16, going from memory, 16, 18, and 24 in his 3 games. That's not the right order, but you get the point. Hasn't been a lot. On the other side, LeBron James, unlikely to play. You've got Anthony Davis Theoretically, he's going to play. It'll probably be some theatrical thing that gets him into the game, but he becomes a phenomenal option on the night. Kevin Durant and company are just not equipped to stop Anthony Davis, but we could also see Anthony Davis and the Lakers play slow down towards what Brooklyn has been doing these last few games. Take it away. Give us some hardcore analysis for the next 4 minutes.
Yeah, so I think Kevin Durant looks outstanding, enough value to get him in there. Nick Claxton's been really impressive this season in terms of fantasy perspective. And this Nets team is just tough to go here in any conference outside of Durant because of in and out rotation with what's going to happen with Seth Curry. And it's not even worth waiting on that news because I think the Memphis value is that great. Royce O'Neal has been really impressive in terms of a fantasy perspective. I never saw this within him coming. And he's been putting up north of 25, almost 30, 40 fantasy point games at various times. So if you want to put him as the last man in, sure. If Seth Curry is out, maybe some additional minutes to Cam Thomas and Joe Harris. I like Joe Harris at 4,100, but he's the same price as Conchar, and I like Conchar projected a bit more. I'm on FanDuel pricing right now just because I'm wrapping up my FanDuel lineup. So Ben Simmons is not playing enough minutes to go in confidence. His minutes are like from 14 to 24. He hasn't looked the same. For some reason, if he's going to get 30 minutes out of the blue, you can pay that off, but no real reason to go there. It's Durant and Claxton for me. That's really about it. Even going to Claxton, I'm not even getting much of him at that elevated 6,800 price tag. I'm going to jump on over to the Lakers side of things. Anthony Davis looks awesome if he's going to go. I think Davis looks great at that price tag. He was fantastic the other night. 58 fantasy points. I would love him to even take more shots. He's their best player. Russell Westbrook still continues to come off the bench. He played mid-30s minutes. I think he's okay to go too. Shooting efficiency came down after some stellar games off the bench, but it's Russ Westbrook. He can definitely shoot the ball 20 times. He's only 7,400. And everyone else is just kind of priced out just because they don't need to be rostered because of how good the Memphis value is, in my opinion.
All right. Go ahead and wrap up your lineups. I'll run with a couple here. What do you have? Tyus Jones. I say at least 70%. Feels about right.
I have no issues. Like if you're risk tolerance.
I would put it this way. Lindquist and Greg would probably be at 90%. So I'm doing one lineup because I didn't want to screw up hotel internet and the broadcast. So I haven't been 100%, but I just have one lineup tonight.
I also have him near that number as of right now, based on if anything were to change in the next 90 seconds. I like him and Brooks a lot.
And I would play Brooks, Conchar, and Tyus in probably my first 10 lineups before I'd get away from those three. Is 11,000 too high for AD? No, not because now that we have the Grizzlies value, it's changed the pricing so that you're really looking at like a 10,100 Anthony Davis. So no, it's not. Can you fade Dillon Brooks in one lineup? Yeah, absolutely. I don't see any issue with that at all. Now we have the dance of Doc Rivers. Thinks that Joel Embiid will indeed play tonight. Glenn Doc Rivers. Don't trust him ever. Always be concerned with Embiid on a back-to-back. Always. That just is just the way it's going to be. He's a finely tuned human being, and if anything's a little bit off, he is a massive human being, which tends to throw other things out of whack, and they're playing for the playoffs. So if they have to punt off a few regular season games, they will, rather than miss extended stretches there. Will Brooks have 20 shots tonight? That feels like a good question. What's your over-under for Dillon Brooks?
Oh, yeah, he's taking more than 20. This is Dillon Brooks' favorite type of game. You might get there in the first half. 25 attempts. That
is looking large. Did you guys know, now that we are at lock, that you can get 3 days of NFL free? That's right. New users only, but you get full access to everything NFL that Stokastic has to offer. Includes DFS projections, DFS ownership, the 1v1 tool, the lineup generator, which is awesome, by the way. That works for basketball as well. The top stacks tool, the link is in the description below us. Just click on the risk-free link. If you're not a Stokastic user already, you can get in on that. Reminder, we do have that BetMGM offer. That link and instructions are also in the YouTube description below us. If you click on that, you will learn how you can get 2 free months of Stokastic if you are not yet a BetMGM user. You do not want to screw that up because that is like a $200 value. And then there's more. You can get up to $1,000 risk-free bet with them. That information, click on the link. It'll take you to the landing page to describe that. And then, of course, we were brought to you tonight by No House Advantage. They have their two different contest formats. The Just Lock was their peer-to-peer, their GPPs, if you will. You can still get in on their versus the house. This is their player prop wagers. Build out parlay cards with 2, 3, 4, or 5 questions. You got to nail them all, but they do have escalating payouts. You get up to 20x your entry if you hit all 5 of your picks there. For rants, should I avoid Embiid? I would be prepared to have a contingency plan. This is always a good thing. Well, our good friend that we've known for a long time, Ryan, Fast Eddie Fair, would always say, make sure you know what's going to happen. Practice for this stuff. You know what we could do? Right. What time is that game? Is that 30 minutes or is that in an hour? That game is it's in an hour and a half. So you can set up a lineup that has your Joel Embiid stuff and then create another CSV that is your non-Joel Embiid stuff. And you can make that decision with about 90 seconds to go. If you don't have news, depending on how you're feeling, if the players that you had in the first portion of the games went well, and or if you like where things are going and what you can pivot to with that extra salary allocation, moving away from Embiid to other players later in the slate, potentially an Anthony Davis, that could be a Nikola Jokic, etc. So we do have some pivots tonight with the way things are sequencing, but I would have that plan in place. Don't get caught watching the paint dry, as they said in Hoosiers, because there's Sunday night football tonight. So if you're not paying attention, news has a way of sliding in at the last minute on Sundays. But you guys can watch NFL Live Before Lock. That'll be going off here at 7:15 on this channel, different feed. Final thoughts tonight, Ryan?
No. Keep an eye on some news. It's a Sunday. Things get a little wonky on Sundays in the NBA, so you might get some excellent value that we couldn't even cover because there might be a surprise scratch later on in the evening.
All right. Well, as we slide on out of here, please do hit that like button. It helps us out tremendously. Thank you to producer Tyler. Thank you to Ryan. You can follow him on Twitter at Renpack. I am at EMac DFS. And of course, it is Stokastic _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.